Stop sending your kids to the all white schools for access to better education. As someone whose parents did the same, we've talked about it, they regret it. Let me tell you why. It causes irreparable damage to your self esteem and your mental health that takes so much time and effort to self correct that it's not worth it. But sending them to an all white school with people who do not look like them is not the answer, I promise you. This is how you have people getting on the internet talking about like divesting from the black community, or like people who are like, it's just a preference, it's just a preference. Like, no. Also, how you have people my age, 28, who cannot date people the same skin complexion as them because it makes them uncomfortable. It's not their preference, when in reality it's just this thing that's like in their head that they can't shake, but they don't have the language to explain it. And it's very, I'm sure it's embarrassing for them, but it's also very embarrassing being on the receiving end of that. All of those people, the common denominator is they did not grow up with people who looked like them and developed a fucked sense of reality that honestly they probably will never unsee. And I just don't think the access to better education is worth it. And I feel like people are so quick to judge these suburban black kids who have these types of problems and are just like, well, you can just like think differently. And I don't think you understand, like, when you have been fighting for your life in defense of your race since you were 10 years old, it is not like a switch that you can just like get back into and think like properly. It takes effort, and it's really fucked up, all in pursuit of a better education that honestly we all should have access to anyways, but we have a system that gives priority to wherever taxes go or whatever bullshit. I don't feel like explaining it. Send your kids to school with people who look like them and pay for the extra tutors. Put them in Kumon or something. Or yeah, maybe send them to the white school and put them in environments with people who look like them so they don't forget who they are, because the aftermath is scary. The aftermath is how you have people like freaking Candace Owens. And as someone who had to spend a majority of their early 20s unlearning all of that, I could have been doing anything else. But instead I had to unlearn racial trauma that I shouldn't have been exposed to in the first place. So general PSA, just don't do it. Or if you're going to, like, have guardrails, but it's 110% not worth it. Stop sending your kids to the all white schools for access to better education. As someone whose parents did the same,
I had to stitch this because I am a certified suburban black girl and I just had a totally different experience at my all white school. To tell you guys my experience, you should go watch the video of the girl that I stitched because she made super valid points and I believe everything that she went through because I saw people that I went to school with go through that. When I first went to my school, there was maybe like, I don't know, like 10 black people in my class. There was always maybe like 10 to 15 black people in my class of like 115. The original creator was basically saying that there's no need for parents to send their kids to all white schools for a better education when it's going to literally like deteriorate your self-esteem and you're gonna have to deal with racial trauma for your entire life and like unlearn what you thought was normal. I just had such a different experience though, and I know my experience is unique, and I also know that like I'm pretty, I know I have pretty privilege, but also like having to deal with the microaggressions that I dealt with all of my life growing up because I was around white people so much, it just made me enter my villain era. I was the mean black girl. People were scared of me. I also was very, very popular and like I knew that, but like people were scared of me. Like I was fighting or anything like that, but like people knew like don't walk up to Faith and just say anything. Like she's going to defend herself. I always did that. I think that that was like traumatizing for me. I just think like it really built character, like, and not in a bad way, but like, yes, it's a microaggression for people to constantly be telling you since the age of like 8 that you're pretty for a black girl. Going back to what the original creator said, she said that there's people now that are like 28 that went to these all white schools and now they can't date other black people because it just makes them feel uncomfortable. I was never clocking a white boy, and like no offense to any white boys, I think there's some cool white boys out there, but if I was in 8th grade, 9th grade, 7th grade and a white boy told me like, oh, you're pretty for a black girl, I'd be like, cool, I'm not looking at you, no way. Like I always wanted me a black man, always. I grew up in a very, very black home. Like my parents made sure that I knew I was beautiful and that like I loved my blackness. There was never like any trying to hide it or like my black's not beautiful. Like I never was raised like that ever. The education front, like I did get a better education than a lot of people. When I went to college, I breezed through college, and I remember working on group projects with people that went to like public schools, and I was like, oh wow, like y'all are kind of like, you're not all the way there, but like they just had literally a not great education. I had been writing 12-page papers since I was 10. Like this is just a cool discussion to have because everybody has different experiences, but I did go through my phase when I was like 14, 15 where I really wanted to like transfer and go to a public school where I could be around more black kids. But parents never let me did that. But when I was like 13, 14, I did get a best friend that transferred to my private school from a public school. She was another black girl, and like she was another pretty black girl, and like we were like this, and I would go hang out with her and all of her public school friends like on the weekend. Oh, y'all, I had never had so much drama in my little 15-year-old life until I met that girl. I'm not lying. That was a really confusing time in my life because all of her friends that like she introduced me to, like they thought I was really cool and really pretty and like they wanted to hang out, but they also really didn't like me, and they were really mean to me because like they were hating, and that's just the truth. So that's when I started getting like the, oh, you talk like a white girl, blah blah blah, this, that, and the third. And like that would bother me sometimes, but like at the end of the day, I'm talking and I know I talk good, so like whatever. And I really genuinely feel like I always felt like that. Like, did that get on my nerves sometimes? Yes, but at the end of the day, like I knew I was talking correctly and like I sounded decent, and I wasn't judging how they talked. I wasn't telling them like, oh, you talk like a black girl. I knew I talk normal, and like I know I go to a white school. I know I was like around white people, so like this is how I talk. I can code switch. I'm good at it. No, like I just always thought it was a flex. I still think it's a flex. Like I can code switch really well. Like you don't want to see me get on my phone call voice. I'll switch into it real quick. I do think like a diverse school, literally diverse with like a good mix of different cultures and good education is the best option. However, like I still feel like with the way that my experience went, I feel like I will still send my kids to a private school if I don't see a school that has that diverse mixture that I like, and I feel like they're getting a good education whenever I have kids, because I don't got no kids right now. I genuinely think that in going to an all-white school and growing up, like you need to have a certain kind of family around you because you are around like a different environment every day versus when you go home. Like it's very different, but I feel like it's not traumatic and like it's not as life altering to where you're like, oh, I can't date a black man now, like I just feel really uncomfortable. I feel like it's not as traumatic if you are, you like, you have a black family and you have people around you that are telling you that they also love their blackness, and like, you know, you have black friends outside of school, you know. And the creator did say that how like they should put their kids in other extracurricular activities where they can like see their blackness, and I do think that's also important. But I feel like it's really important for that to just be like within the family, you know. Going to school every day and you're gonna go home every day, so like those are the two places that you're gonna be at every single day, and I think it's really important to have that in the family. I think that makes a big difference. That made a big difference for me, but I also think that like I am who I am. Like I think I was made a certain way, and I think I've always been like a very confident young woman, even when I was 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that's just me. And so I do think parents should look at how their child is. Like look at how your child is before you pick what school you send them to in terms of like black or white, whatever, because I think that also plays an important role. But also like if you do have a shy kid, like you probably gonna get a little bullied anyways, you know, like whether you at a white school or a black school, it's just gonna be the like quality of bullying. Like are you gonna be bullied because you too white or too black? You know what I mean? I think my overall point is I think it's just like a double-ended sword, you know. So yeah, that's my experience, that's my thoughts, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Like let's chat.
So as some of you know, I am currently on a field trip with my son and his school to Panama, right? And it's a very small group. He goes to a diverse school. And we're currently with 2 other schools, one from Oregon and one from Pennsylvania. And it's a huge group. It's 37 people all together, and it is predominantly white. There's 3 black children all together in these groups. My son is one of them, and there's 2 other black children from the other school. I don't know, Panama or Pennsylvania, whatever. But I always talk about the psychological damage of putting your kids, your black children, in all white spaces or predominantly white spaces, and what it can do to their psyche, what it can do to their self-worth, what it can do to their image, right, of how they view themselves and their community. And like just being here with these children has proven to me once again that I have made the right decision by not putting my children in predominantly white spaces, because we could send them to private school, right? We could send them to places where you would think like the education is better but no, I value community so much. And here is a non-comprehensive list of things that I have heard these white children say today. We've been here for 8 days today. We're literally at the beach and they're hopping off the boat, and one kid yells, "Let me see if black people really can't swim." And of course the black kid is like, ha, 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 because those are his buddies, right? Those are his friends. He's spending 8 days with them. He's literally rooming with them. Something else, they said this morning, we've had like a fruit platter every single morning for breakfast, in addition to like eggs and sausage and whatever else they serve in Panama. And this morning, they were like, dang, London, you've gotten watermelon every day this week. And they all kind of joked and started mumbling amongst themselves, laughing. And I mean, I can only imagine what they were saying. And the kid is like not even uncomfortable. He's not even visibly uncomfortable. He's just like laughing it off with his friends. But if he's been in this space since he was younger, I mean, obviously, like he's used to it or whatever. And then the other day, they were all putting on sunscreen. We were going on some hike, and they were all putting on sunscreen. And they asked the other kid, I don't know his name, did he want sunscreen? And he was like, oh, no, thank you. And they were like, yeah, you know, black people don't burn. Black people don't burn. Like, and it became like a whole group discussion about the necessities of black people and, you know, whether they need sunscreen or not or whatever. And it just became this whole thing. And I mean, they laughed about it on the bus the entire way home. And the teachers are not saying anything. And I don't know if they realize that sometimes you can become oblivious to things like that. And I'm like hyper aware of things. So almost to the point where it's like to my detriment. So I wanted to speak up and I wanted to say something, but these are children in another school with other chaperones, etc. So I didn't say anything at all. But all that did was reaffirm my belief that my children are just fine where they are in diverse groups, where they feel community and they feel a sense of belonging and they see representation and they see people that look like them. So, yeah, that was just my rant for the day.
If you agree with this lady, let me know in the comment section. Honestly, we have gotten a lot of cases that have literally happened to black kids in white predominantly spaces that is way worse and way more than the ones we have gotten when we have our black kids schooling in our environment, our black kids mingling with our black children, our black kids learning with our black children. For me personally, I even think it helps them to understand each other better. It helps them to be able to relate. Nobody is going to give them some racial slurs. Nobody is going to be racist towards them. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying that there are not white predominantly schools that are not dealing with all this. But for me, I feel like letting your child grow in your community, letting your child understand what your community is all about, and with the ethics that you are going to be teaching your child as a mother, as a father, as a sister, as a niece, it's very important. But I'm going to let the other clips I have roll before I come back with my commentaries. You guys know that whenever I want to do commentaries, I drop it on your table. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks. Also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, with that being said, let's dive right into this video. I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch, guys.
Sending your kids to the all-white schools for access to better education.
I wholeheartedly agree with her. I go to Howard University now, and you will be shocked to know how many times I've heard from other students that they thought they were ugly their entire lives, but turns out they were just black at an all-white school. And hearing this so many times really made me stop and think, because I never saw going to a majority black high school as a privilege until I got here. I truly did not anticipate being around so many people whose first time not being the minority was in college. Because in the area where I grew up, not only are black people not a minority, not only are black people prospering, but black people are also the beauty standard. The popular group in the middle schools are black. The popular girls in the high schools are black. And although there were white people, in order for you to be considered cool as a white person, you had to assimilate into black culture. If you were a white girl, you dressed how the black girls dressed. If you were a white boy, you did the sports that the black boys did. And having black as a standard made it easy to love being black and not want to be anything else. On top of this, I also cheered at Howard. So I would often hear my teammates say stuff like, it's nice to not be the only black girl on the team. This was like shocking to me, because on my high school cheer team, we had one white girl and we loved Elizabeth down. Okay, we was rocking with Elizabeth because Elizabeth was rocking with us. But as a Howard cheerleader, hearing how the other girls were so excited to wear their natural hair or be able to have uniforms that actually fit their body type or be able to do stomp and shake cheers, like these are things that I did not know were not normal. Because in high school, we always looked at the white schools to have better access, better opportunities, better facilities. And I just always assumed that because the people that I was interacting with at Howard had these things, that they were better off. However, I quickly learned that there is not an opportunity, an access door, or a better education that is worth growing up not loving who you are. And I say better education in quotes because proximity to whiteness does not equal a better education. But that's a topic for a different day. We all ended up at Howard. Some people just ended up here with racial trauma.
Black parents, please stop sending your kids to all white schools thinking that you're getting them a better education. I can agree that due to systemic racism, predominantly white schools do have better resources. They typically have the better teachers, the better extracurricular activities, resources, that sort of thing. I can agree to that. But the damage that you're causing your child, it's just not worth it. Send them to a school that's diverse. They can still get a good education. You can still put them in, different activities. They can still go to the same college as long as they work, hard. You're damaging your child. Every day I come on this app, I see, somebody talking about how they were the only black child in their classroom, how they didn't have any black teachers. They had no representation. They didn't have friends. They felt left out. Experiences that they just didn't have as kids, like having crushes, having people like them. They never experienced that. How they just were wanting to straighten their hair, how they didn't love themselves, how, damaging that was to their self-esteem and their identity. They did not know who they were. Like, it's damaging to a child. And I understand that parents who do this, they mean well. They're trying to give their child better, maybe something that they did not have. But send your child to a diverse school, because there's certain things that children need as a part of their development. And to be the only black child and to feel left out, to feel like you don't have friends, to not want to be yourself because you look different, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Just go on TikTok and look at all the content of people saying, like, who went to all white schools as kids, and see how damaging it was to their self-esteem. It's actually crazy.
Kids to the all white schools for access to better education. As someone whose parents did the same.
I respect her opinion, but I disagree. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to explain what she was saying in that video. Basically, as you can see by the beginning, she was saying that it's not worth sending your black child to a white school that has better education in it, because when they're older, they're going to have identity crisis from being around only white people, not being around enough black kids, and possibly could view other black people in a negative light because of that. Now, I had the same experience she did as far as going to a mostly white school. I mean, she's a black woman, I'm a black man, so it's safe to assume that she might have had more hardships fitting in just being a black woman, because I know it's difficult for y'all. I could understand that it's more difficult for black women in situations like these. But this is my take on it. Basically, in simpler terms, what she's saying is they will be a product of their environment. To me, being a product of your environment is completely based on you, the person who is in question of being a product of their environment, in their at-home life. Because here's the thing. To put the cherry on top and put me even deeper in the hole, not only did I go to a white school, but I'm also adopted and I have white parents. But regardless of any of that, I was still able to fit in all types of groups. I'd have had black friends, I'd have had white friends, I'd have had friends from the hood, I'd have had rich white friends, you know what I'm saying? I feel like none of that has stopped me from being able to fit in. Let me not even say fit in, because I feel like I don't specifically fit into any certain group, but it's never stopped me from being able to be friends with a certain group or date a certain group. What she was saying in the video is the results of being that type of black kid is turning out like a Candace Owens, you know what I'm saying? Basically, Uncle Tom. But to me, that's not based on where you go to school or where you grow up. That's based on you. You know what I'm saying? That's enabling. That's the same as saying that somebody from the hood will never be anything because they come from a poverty-stricken area and they have less opportunities, that they can't be nothing just because the area they're from. And I disagree with that. Will it be harder to do so? Yes, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to do a lot on your own. As for me, you know what I'm saying? I had to learn some things. As a black person, I had to learn certain things about the black culture coming from where I came from. You know what I'm saying? From my black friends, going more into those spaces, just figuring stuff out. Certain, you know what I'm saying? Just stuff that most black people know, or jokes and sayings and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that most black people would know that I maybe didn't know. I had to learn those type of things. I don't think any of that is worth the trade-off of not going to a good school and not getting a good education, because at the end of the day, bro, fitting in isn't a real thing. You always gonna find your troop and you always gonna find your tribe of people. And I'm not here to invalidate her experience, because I definitely could understand what she's saying. You know what I'm saying? I could have been in the exact same predicament if I didn't go about things the way I went about them. But I'm just here to give y'all a different way of looking at it. Or for people who are in the same situation, I want to give y'all possibly a different way to handle it. And the way I see it, I'm glad that I've had those experiences, because I'm able to relate or be on either side of the spectrum. fit in with either side of the spectrum, because when you get older and you want to get outside of your norm or outside of where you're at, you're going to be around different types of people. You know what I'm saying? When you step out into the world, you're not going to only be around black people. You're not going to only be around white people. So it's good to be able to understand both sides, how both sides go about things, how both sides act and stuff like that. Like, I feel like that's very important if you want to expand your horizon of life. Whether you like it or not, white people, you're going to be in spaces where there's black folk. Black people, you're going to be in spaces where there's white folk. You either going to go the rest of your life being uncomfortable, or you're going to get in tune with each side and see why they do the thing.
Kids to the all-white schools for access to better education. As someone whose parents did the same.
And stop moving in the neighborhoods full of them. I don't care what y'all say. Ruby Bridges' parents was dead ass wrong. My kid never would have had to go through that. I'm sorry. We would have had to make changes elsewhere. Not with my baby going to that school. Her parents was dead ass wrong. Argue with your mama. And I know them is just a TV series, but that man moving his family to that white neighborhood, see, that's what happens. You knew better than that. And Lucky ain't want to move there. Ooh, people get on my nerves. We should have just stayed fucking segregated. We should have stayed separate but equal. Because now we're together and we're still not at the... My bad, I'm on break at work. But we still not at the but equal part. We together. But ain't shit equal. We should have just stayed segregated and separate. I think a colors only restaurant would have been lit. A colors only fountain. You mean to tell me somebody who don't wash their legs can't drink after me? Thank God.
Stop sending your kids to the all-white schools for access to better education. As someone whose parents...
If you send your black-ass kids to these white-ass schools, they're going to have 99 problems, and a cracker's going to be 99 of them. I think one of the worst things that you can do for your kid is to put them in an all-white environment. I had no choice, okay? My daddy was a felon. When they took him out of the witness protection, he had to move to another city. And he chose the most bumfuck one because the rest of his family was just half white, because my dad was like an honorary biracial. His mama, like, no one knew if she was white or not. It's a long story. She was a Rachel Dolezal a little bit. And now I'm a third white. I want to punch a wall. But back to y'all's colonizer children. Y'all have to understand that kids are kids in the first place. Okay, let's start there. They are going to copy what their parents say and do. And I'm sorry, I'm not putting that blame on a kid. I'm putting it on their fuck ass parents. So you have the kids going home to this cesspool of racism and discrimination, coming back to the schools and putting it on the black kids. Then the hormones start developing, and then weirder shit keeps happening. And then you're so disconnected from your race, and then other black people are just not gonna like you. And I've learned to accept that. Because of how I grew up, I will always give off an energy that's like, ugh, I don't know about this one. And you allowed to say that, baby. I don't give a fuck. You smelling the quarter Caucasian up in there. I'd be cautious too. I was around all white people from the age of birth to 15 years old. And it's just awful. When people ask me what my thoughts were about race before I actually expanded my mind and started learning more and was exposed to the world, this is what it is. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I never felt like I would be considered a black woman. I clearly am a fucking black woman. But when you're surrounded by nothing but white people, they tell you that you're white. I thought that other black women were gorgeous and they just had something that I didn't have. And it made me deeply depressed. Black men... Give me a second, hold on. The black men raised around white people, or the black men who hate themselves, are evil. I don't know how else to explain it. They want nothing more than to be accepted by white men. And they will do anything they can to get that. I'ma leave it there. I thought white women were some bitches, period. And I knew white men were a tool for me to get what the fuck I wanted. And before you're like, oh, well, that's problematic. That's your problem in the first place. Who blocking access to everything, baby? Who you gotta go through in this society, honey? So why the fuck wouldn't a kid pick up on that in an environment not meant for her and then proceed with that shit? The amount of rage that has accumulated in my body from simply just trying to defend my blackness, it became too much. So now I just don't give a fuck. I had white bitches and non-white bitches saying shit like, Oh, well, you're really not black. I can say the N-word around you because you're not black. Oh, you like white men. Bitch, you getting your back blown out every fucking night by a black man. Fuck on my face, bitch. This is why I got high blood pressure. This really don't be an act, y'all. I be pissed the fuck off. And it's like wherever you go, whatever you do, people assume that you hate yourself because of the energy that was embedded in you from being around these white ass people. Don't send your kids to those schools. Like this lovely creator said, baby, get them a tutor.
Anyways, welcome back and thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys literally enjoyed every single clip I was able to roll out for you guys. And the truth is, for what this lady said about stop sending your kids to all white schools in search of better education, for me, I think she is making a lot of sense. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know, have you had any kind of experience like this as well? Do you have any experience contrary? Did you literally attend all white school? How did it go for you? Did anybody share any experience with you? Please let us know in the comment section, because our comment section is one of the ways or one of the places where people literally learn and also share experience and opinion. So the better education in search for me is a child that actually wants to be brilliant will be brilliant no matter where that child finds himself. I've seen people like in Africa, we have what we call public schools where they have less quality education, less good teachers, and so on and so forth. But we still see children thriving out from that place. We still see children becoming millionaires, trillionaires. We still see them becoming something great in future. I, on my other hand, I went to a very expensive school. My mom made sure that I attended a very expensive school, despite the fact that we're dealing with poverty at the other end. But I can tell you for a whole fact that in as much as the school I literally attended was way expensive and we have these rich kids everywhere, today, only few, I can tell you, only few are able to stand their ground. Honestly, sometimes when I see some of those rich kids and I ask questions like, what really happened to you? Like, I ask it within myself. I cannot just come up and just ask it, because when you grow up with people and you think, oh, these people are well to do, my mom have to save up, my dad have to save up for me to just get my school fees done, and theirs, they don't need to think, they don't need to do anything. At some point I even have to hawk. I have to sell. Like, when we mean hawking in Africa, it simply means you have to carry something on your head and then you go around, you sell to people like corn, water, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, you keep asking yourself, what really happened to these rich man kids? Because most of them, at some point, when their parents are no longer available to help, when their parents literally run down, there is nothing to show up. And I feel like one of the major reason, again, for me, why I think putting your children in your own community school will really help them, guide them in the right direction. I'm not saying the other predominantly white schools don't guide as well. Yes, they do guide, but half of them, because that is where we get all these children get racially profiled. That is where we get racist teachers, because they feel like that particular child is different. They feel like that particular child is not even worth their time. But putting your kids where you know that they can actually marinate each other, they can understand each other, they can build with each other, it makes it more easy for that kids as well to even learn some of the ethics, learn some of the things that this predominantly white school will not teach, because they're trying to reclassify a lot of things. So for my own part, I feel like I totally agreed with this lady sharing her experience. And yeah, and I'm so happy that she did, and that is why I have to pull out this video here so that we can also learn from each other. Like I said, we have a lot of children in white predominantly school and they had issues. They just give them racial slurs, tell them they don't belong here, teach them even what you as a mother is not even teaching them in the house. It has gone to that level. So just let me know what you think in the comment section. Like I said, I want to hear from your own opinion as well. And credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our this episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you, liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.